Hi, Mark Helly here. In previous videos I've explained why focusing on the most common vocabulary is the best approach for effective language learning. I've also explained the role of memory in language learning and why the best kind of classroom activities are those which really engage students. These are the two fundamental ideas on which Quizword is based, and in this video I'm going to show you why I developed Quizword and why it will make your life as an EFL teacher much easier. First of all, what is Quizword? Well, it's a set of 200 cards, each containing 6 questions in different categories, so a total of 1,200 questions. There are 100 blue cards and 100 red cards, so you can alternate to avoid repetition, although as I'll explain later, repetition is not necessarily a bad thing. Now that in itself would be a very useful resource, but what makes Quizword even better is that those 1,200 questions only use 2,000 of the most common 2,500 words in the English language. If my many years of language learning and teaching have taught me anything, it's that we learn better when we're interested and engaged. Games and quizzes are what we do as native speakers for amusement, and a popular game is like gold dust in the classroom. Of course, not all games are good for language learning. Some can quickly become repetitive and boring, or may not really practice the student's language skills very much, such as hangman or word searches. And general knowledge quizzes need to be very carefully planned because general knowledge is very culture specific. One American's answer to the question, "What nationality was Picasso?" was Mexican, which would amaze most Europeans. Similarly, British people would struggle to answer questions about baseball, American football, or American geography or history, and we share a language and a great deal of history and culture. So while we know that language games are really useful, it's not easy coming up with one which ticks all the right boxes. So what are the criteria for a good language game? From the language learning perspective, the best games are ones that practice useful language, involve speaking and listening more than reading and writing, and are unpredictable and make students think. From the teacher's perspective, the best games are ones that don't involve lots of preparation or materials, can be used in any teaching situation, and can be used over and over again with students of any level. Quizword ticks all of these boxes. I first became aware of the logic of focusing on high-frequency vocabulary in the late 80s when the Collins Co-Build English course by Dave and Jane Willis was published. Its lexical syllabus was based on computer analysis of the patterns of use of millions of words of modern English, but the importance of learning common vocabulary had been highlighted over 60 years earlier. Way back in the 1920s, Harold Palmer, a pioneer in the field of English language learning and teaching, and widely considered to be the father of applied linguistics, recognized that the way to achieve conversational proficiency was to memorize perfectly the largest number of common and useful word groups. The great advantage we have now is access to better data in this field, so we have a much better understanding of which words are the most common and therefore the most useful. They're highlighted in any good learner dictionary. But having access to this information is only half the battle. From studies of how memory works, we know that trying to learn lists of words out of context is unlikely to be very successful. We simply forget words which have no meaningful context to anchor them in our memory. What Quizword does is provide the learner with both the most common words and a context. And where memory is concerned, studies show that the best technique for counteracting the natural tendency to forget things is spaced repetition, a reason to use Quizword over and over again in class. So with the set of Quizword questions, you've got the perfect English language teaching resource in your bag, which you can use at any time in any lesson, and using it for just 30 minutes every day will cut your lesson preparation time by 2.5 hours a week. But how do you use it? Well, there are lots of possibilities which would take some time to explain, so I've put them on a PDF which you can download. Just go to silverhammerpublications.com and click on the Quizword option. You can also print some sample cards there as well. Because Quizword is only available online, whenever I give presentations to language teachers abroad, I sell the sets I take with me as soon as I've stopped talking. They're incredibly popular, particularly with non-native teachers. So here's how you get a set of Quizword questions for free. Just take the buy 3 sets for £48 and sell 2 sets to colleagues or even students. Although I developed Quizword primarily as a teaching resource, it's perfect for students as well. Students looking for self-study options tend to buy grammar books, but for the same price they could have something that would be far more practical, versatile, and which they would be more likely to use. In fact, whenever Quizword has been used, students have asked to buy a set. Okay, that's all for this video. Thanks for listening.